Oh, 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 oh. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Hookster Talks with me and the TB Bear. Yes, everyone loves the TB Bear, don't they? Yeah, just look at his face, just look at his face. Oh, you just want to do naughty things to it, don't you? Ooh, ooh, God, yeah. Oh, God, now TB, very, very serious news now. What has Codemasters done to F1 2021? I know, it's a complete bloody disaster. It is. It's a complete disaster. And we're going to discuss it right after news of the next Grand Prix. Oh, you're gorgeous. You're gorgeous. Oh, I just want to eat you. I just want to lick every inch of you. Hello everyone and welcome back to another Hookster Talks. Yes, so this weekend we're back in the real world of Formula 1 at the Hungary ring. Yes, and what we want to know is Maxi Boy Verstappen going to be the perfect gentleman, or is he going to give a little bit of payback to Lewis Hamilton pretty much on about lap 1 or 2? Is he? Well, we will find out. I'm pretty sure that Max is going to be the perfect gentleman and we're not going to have any problems at the start of the race. That's my opinion anyway, because it would look pretty bad on Max if suddenly into turn 1 he ploughed straight into Lewis Hamilton. Of course, this has been done in the past, but I think we're pretty much all over that now, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be a clean race from start to finish, which is unlike Red Bull at the moment, who have now, I do believe, put in a petition against that crash. It's just leave it now, lads. Just leave it, okay? It's done. It's over. Just, yeah. I know it cost you, what, £1.8 million for that crash, was it? For that poor car? 1.8 million? Well, you'll have to sell a few more of those energy drinks, and I'm sure you'll make it up in quite possibly about a fortnight. Yeah, about a fortnight. So I wouldn't cry about it too much. No, I wouldn't cry about it too much. But anyway, so there you go. Red Bull protesting, nothing will happen, it's all done now, it's all done and dusted, so let's just get on with it. So, please, everyone, leave your lovely predictions now in the comments on who you think the top 3 is going to be. And don't forget, of course, it's a very tight and twisty circuit, so it's going to be quite tough to work out that top 3, I have to admit. Yes, quite tough. I'm looking forward to one of the really fast circuits, and I'm pretty sure you might get that right, or someone will anyway. Let's hope so. But for Hungary, I think it's going to be a pretty tough track to try and work out what top 3 is. But please leave your predictions, and we'll see how we do after the race. So there you go then, that's the next race, which is going to be at Hungary. And now if everyone wants to click off this video, I'd just like to say thanks so much for watching. You've been awesome as always, because now it's time for Dave to have a rant. And if you don't want to see Dave having a rant, then please feel free to click off now. Okay, so I sit here every day making YouTube videos. In fact, while I'm uploading one video, I'm already prepping on the next. And it's not just like a few days a week, it's Monday through until Sunday. So I think my commitment to F1 gaming is pretty much right there. So I've got to talk about F1 2021. Now, I'm calling out all the big F1 YouTubers over this. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to mention any names, but they're not going to watch this video anyway, so, you know, who cares? But they were so sucky to EA Sports when they took over Codemasters. It was unbelievable. It really was. Well, this is now the result of that suckiness. Now, thankfully, I have no ties whatsoever to Codemasters, and I refuse to suck up to them just to get some early release copies and get those lovely views and wonga. So I can pretty much say what I like. And unlike X-Matty G from WTF1, who said this was the best F1 game ever, and now we know why he's on the top of the tablet screen in the Breaking Point story mode, I have quite a different opinion. So this is how I view Formula 1 games right now, and especially the Codemasters games. So if you remember Jenga, that sort of puzzle game where there's a load of blocks in the shape of a tower block, and you basically took out blocks from wherever you wanted to hold this sort of tower together. Well, this is how I see F1 2021. Let's go back in time now to F1 2010, which was basically the first game from Codemasters if we forget about F1 2009. So that was the start of Jenga. It was solid. It was safe. It was secure, and it worked pretty much damn perfectly. And then over the years, slowly, people have been removing these Jenga blocks from the Formula 1 game. 2011, 2012, 2013, loads of blocks from 2014 and 2015, and so on and so forth. So basically the Jenga tower now looks very, very rickety indeed. In fact, anyone walking past it is going, "Oh, steady, steady, one wind and that's going to blow over." And that is now the state of play we have with F1 2021. To quote a famous line from GTA San Andreas, "All you had to do was follow the damn train, CJ." And that's all Codemasters had to do. They had their unique selling point with Breaking Point. That was what was going to draw the punters in, so that was done and dusted. And all they had to do was copy-paste the career mode and the My Team. But they couldn't even do that. There's options that are now missing that were in the previous game. The online is a little bit of a disaster. Apparently you get chucked into lobbies where they've only actually just started on the first lap and you've got 25% races and you just got to sit there until the... Why, Codemasters? Why? Why didn't you just keep the system that you had in F1 2020? It makes no sense for these new lobbies in F1 2021. So once again, Codemasters are trying to reinvent the wheel. But the most glaring problem with F1 2021 right now is the curbs. They are just too ferocious. They really are. And they make no logical sense either, because you can go straight over these curbs on one lap and get away with it. Then on the next lap, you've only got to be a millimetre off to the left or to the right over that curb and it will spin you out. This, unfortunately, is it. And I'm just hoping that Codemasters can turn down the physics a little bit for the curbs. Otherwise, people are going to rapidly lose interest. And in fact, people are already losing interest in this game. And it's only been out, just over a week, maybe 2 weeks now. Because the curbs are just too aggressive. Once again, Codemasters have decided in their infinite wisdom to reinvent the wheel. Yes, to reinvent the wheel. But I just can't sit here anymore and praise them for these F1 games. Everyone knows that I try to give a balanced and honest opinion over all these Formula 1 games, but every year now it is just the same thing, and I just cannot, in all honesty, keep supporting the actions that Codemasters are doing with these F1 games. First of all, I'd like to publicly apologise to anyone who has bought this game for £75. Codemasters won't do it, but I would like to say I'm very sorry indeed that you paid £75 for this game. £75 Codemasters at this present moment in time with what's going on in the world is a lot of money. A lot of money indeed for a game that basically doesn't work properly. Once again, you rushed the release of this game to coincide with the Silverstone Grand Prix, and you released it without getting a lot of the bugs out of it in time. So once again, we're going to end up with about 20 patches for this game by the end of its life cycle, which at the moment is going to be a very short life cycle indeed. Okay, and I understand that this is a yearly release, so there's really not a lot that you can change in these games. But this business model now is just not working. It really isn't. Personally, there's one thing I would much prefer to see, and that is a game either every 2 years in which time it comes out of the box completely bug-free, with just minor stability patches to go along the way, which would be a lot better than the state of play of releasing a game which you know isn't finished. You know it isn't finished, and actually fixing it on the run, as they say. Yes, on the run. Because now you're spending so much time fixing this game, you're not going to be able to implement any new features that you want. I mean, like the free tracks we're still waiting for. Surely with all these bug fixes you're going to have to put out, this is going to delay now the free tracks that we're waiting for. I mean, we were hoping that they're going to come out in August. I'm pretty sure now this is not going to happen until at least October. So yes, bring out a game every 2 years. Now I know unfortunately you've got the contract, so you have to make a new one every single year, so that's not going to work. But of course it would have made more logical sense. But what would have made more sense would be just to update the liveries every year and sell it at a reduced price. I'm sure everyone would have just preferred that idea, to basically have the new liveries for the season and maybe have it as an add-on for F1 2020 for maybe, I don't know, £20. I'm sure everyone would have preferred that, because this is what we've got now anyway. My team is pretty much a carbon. All they've done is updated the R&D. That's it. They haven't done anything else. Updated the R&D. And yet my team is exactly the same as last year's. It's no different. So, you know, you could have brought it out as an update, and it would have been fine. And this is what you need to do, Codemasters, because the F1 community, the gaming community, and I'm separating that from esports, which is a completely different animal, they're fed up now. They really are. Also, F1 2021 is very difficult to drive on a pad, especially in the wet. It is very, very difficult indeed. And that needs to be addressed as well. And here's the problem. Formula 1 games are supposed to be fun. Yes, they're going to have a simulation side to it, but the most important thing is that when you play the game, you have fun. You get that smile on your face when you actually beat some of the other drivers. F1 2021 is not giving me and a lot of other people that smile on their face. Now look at it. I know I keep going on about this. Formula 1 97. Pretty much damn perfect. Yes. Obviously, for its age, it had a lot of flaws on it, and you know, it's nothing compared with the modern F1 games. But it had that important fun factor. It put a smile on your face every time you played this game. If you don't believe me, go back and play Formula 1 97, then go and play F1 2021 and tell me which one you prefer, because I'm pretty sure that you will prefer this game right here. So yeah, basically they need to sort out their business model for this game, because it just isn't working. And I, in all honesty, can't keep sitting here every single year and saying, well, you know, it's not bad. Now, that review I did of the game, I do stand by the 7.5 review that I gave it. And don't forget, of course, I did that review pretty much straight after I got the game. So it was, everything was done in like the first 4 days, when quite a few of the bugs and problems don't sort of manifest themselves. And a lot of the bugs actually didn't start coming out till about a week after it was released. So yeah, I stand by the 7.5 rating for the game, but I just can't anymore. I just really can't. F1 2021, I mean, they've completely revised the physics model. I have no idea why did they do that? You had such a simple job this year, Codemaster, such a simple job. All you had to do was copy paste last year's game and put the new liveries in. Okay? Because you had enough on your plate actually doing a PS5 version as well. So why in your wisdom, why would your engineers, your designers, everything, why would you sit down there and think to yourselves, well, wait, let's completely change the physics of this game while we're at it? What in your brains made you think of this idea? Why? Why didn't you just leave it alone? I just don't understand it. I really don't. There's no logic to that whatsoever. Don't change what isn't broken. It was fine last year. It was fine. Leave it alone. Good God, why do you make so much work for yourselves? I don't get it. I'm just at a loss. I really am. Whether this was because of the EA takeover and basically they've had ideas coming from all directions. Now, this is a thing that concerns me. And in case anybody doesn't realise, EA Sports took over Codemasters. Okay? This, I believe, has affected this year's game. A lot of people have said, oh yeah, but it was 90% finished by the time they took over. Yeah, maybe it was, but it still took some of the focus off this game. When you take over a company, the acquisition of that company is enormous. In lawyers, everything has to be signed off. Now look at it this way, okay? If they re-release the original Colin McRae rally, you remember back in 1997, say they re-release that on Steam, okay? I'm not, it probably is on Steam, I don't know, but say they re-release that on Steam. That has now got to be branded as an EA Sports game because they now own Codemasters. So everything that Codemasters has made for the last 25, 30 years, I don't know, has now got to be rebranded as EA Sports. And then that's got to be signed off with the lawyers. And if there's developers that made this game back in 1997 that had rights to this game, that's all got to be signed off as well. So that fundamentally has been a nightmare for Codemasters and EA Sports. It's going to have been a nightmare. So I think that took some of the focus away from this game. Now, of course, don't forget that they've got loads of development teams now. I mean, they've amalgamated with the Need for Speed team. I mean, they've still got employees from Evolution Studios. Slightly Mad even had a little go in this game, I do believe. It's just ridiculous. And I think they've all been pulling in all these directions, and they've completely lost the focus of the game by going in all these different directions. It's just been ridiculous. It really has. So here's my comparison, okay? If you look at the first section of the Marvel Universe, I mean, it had 20 films in it, didn't it? So look at the first one, Iron Man, yeah? And then look at the last one, okay? Just watch the first film, Iron Man, then watch the last one, okay? And you will see the difference. Iron Man was a solid, decent film, okay? But along the line, they just completely eroded any of that decency until you ended up with the very last film. Just can't even remember the name of it because I don't like Marvel really. But, that is how I'm seeing F1 2021. And I just don't get it. I just don't get it. What would you prefer, everyone? Would you prefer a broken game every year or a game that works pretty much straight out of the box? I know which one I'd choose. Yeah, I know which one I'd choose, even if I had to wait until October for it. That's fine. I'm not bothered if I have to wait till October. It's still going to run all the way through the winter, through past when F1's finished, until next year. It's fine. That's when they used to come out, But no, you've been just so incessant on getting these games out earlier and earlier and earlier. It's just ridiculous. It really is. So, F1 2021, everyone. Yeah. Hopefully it will be fixed and it'll end up as a pretty decent game. But I just don't know. I think, to be honest, we'll have to wait for F1 2022, which is probably going to be even worse. Now, as I was saying earlier about Codemasters, EA Sports have taken over Codemasters. And I'm telling you this now, in about 3 years' time, the name Codemasters will be gone. Okay? It will be gone. Because this lovely little British company that we were so fond of back in its heyday, well, over the years it's been pretty much eroded anyway, to be honest. I mean, half of this game for the past few years has been made in India. Yeah, If you look at the credits, you can clearly see all the Indian names. Now, I think that's not going to have to happen anymore because they've got so many sort of members of staff. They should be able to make half of it in the US, and there is the problem. This is the problem. Eventually, everyone at Codemasters will have to make a decision, and they'll just make this game in the United States because that's where all the big software companies are. Yeah, so they're not going to allow Codemasters to carry on making these games in England with all the logistics of having to send code over the internet to other places. It's not going to be worth it. So in about 3 years, Codemasters will be gone. There'll still be staff from Codemasters there, but perhaps some of them will move over to the US, to the studios over there. I don't know. But the actual brand of Codemasters, well, the writing is on the wall for our fabled British company, unfortunately. And in about 3 years, Codemasters will be no more, because this is how EA does it, as we all know. Just type in to Google, into YouTube, EA Sports, and you will see hundreds of videos all about this. They take over a studio, basically strip it of all its natural resources, and then dump it. They just dump it. That's what they do. That's what they've done to countless other studios, and they will continue to do this with Codemasters. Codemasters are not going to be allowed to carry on independently and still be owned by EA. That makes no business sense. So yes, they will be gone in about 3 years, and then all the Formula 1 games will be just branded as EA Sports. It's in the game, but is it really? No, it's not, because lots of things are missing. Classic content's been removed. Physics have been updated for no reason whatsoever. They've made the game a lot harder for no reason whatsoever. And I've also had some people contacting me about some of the things that you can't adjust, like driver transfers apparently is a little bit of a joke, where you're getting 4 transfers every season, which is unrealistic, and I can't see why they've done that. I think it was it 2019 where the transfers started going crazy, and then they put an option in it where you could actually tone it down, and you could only get like 1 transfer a season or whatever, but they seem to have taken out that option or removed it. So there you go. Once again, Codemasters trying to reinvent the wheel. So I just don't get it. All I know is it's a bloody mess right now. It is a bloody mess, and it needs sorting. But the worst thing that needs sorting is the background, because it is so bright it gives me a migraine. It really does. Why is it in white? I don't get it. But that's just a small niggle. But there you go. Tone down the bloody background, Codemasters, for God's sake. But I'll tell you what. I always know when a new F1 game comes out, because my Twitter basically explodes about 2 days after the games come out. Yes, it basically explodes with people in my direct messages on Twitter. People I don't even follow. I don't even know who they are, but they just explode in my direct messages saying, "Oi, Codemasters, sort your shitty game out." And it's just ridiculous. Basically because on my Twitter, I'm F1 Games PlayStation, that they think I'm actually affiliated with Codemasters. It's quite funny, some of the messages, I'll tell you. They're asking me all sorts of questions that I have no idea how to answer, so I do apologise, but I can't, because, they're too technical, and I don't make the bloody games, so there you go. But yeah, every single year I get my inbox full up with complaints, questions about the new Formula 1 game. So anyway, what do you think? What do you think needs to happen? How can they fix this? And how can we get a decent F1 game again? Now, don't forget, of course, it will be with Codemasters for quite a few more years yet. They've got the license, I think, till 2024. So it's not going anywhere from Codemasters. So I don't sort of suggest it goes to another studio, because that is not happening. But they need to do something, because this is not right. And I can't, in all honesty, as I say, sit here every single time and say, well, it's not a bad game this year. It's not a bad game. No. It isn't a bad game, but it's got a lot of flaws in it, and these flaws need to be addressed. I just hope they can turn down the curbs. I just hope they can. But if they've revised the physics, I'm not very hopeful. Because if that's hard coded into the game, it's going to be very, very difficult to tone that down. Personally, I'm just at a loss. I really am. Anyway, that's my rant over with. I've been ranting for far too long. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I hope I didn't bore you too much. Leave your predictions for the real life Grand Prix, which will hopefully be more exciting than an F1 2021 from EA Sports is in the game. And I will catch you in the next video. I'm sorry for the rant and sorry for going on, but this needed to be said, because it's no good asking a big F1 YouTuber, because they'll say it's great, mate. It's great. It's absolutely great. Fantastic. I love the game this year. I love the game. Love it. Love it. Love it. Oh, God. It's time to perform some more fellatio with TB. Hello, you sexy bear. Thanks, everyone, and good night.